And we are live here, and we're coming on live on our Spreaker channel, on Omi's Broadcaster, Organic Broadcaster, and I'm also live here on YouTube. And once again, I'm going to start over a little bit by saying that I'm a little bit put out because of those spiritual practitioners coming up with the tarot readings that were so way off, and some of them being afraid to even give readings for fear that they might get accused of speaking from a perspective of a conspiracy concept. And a number of them were being told to be quiet, to shut up. And it seemed like this is a period where the actual media is silencing those people from the inner city and the hood. And their voices are not being respected nor encouraged. And they're being told to shut up. Can this be a hoax to get the community to shut up and to silence them so that they won't take off with their own beliefs and concept, and so that they won't have to step in and say, give me your guns, but they first have to silence everyone. Now, I'm a little concerned because I mentioned earlier, we have a young lady that has turned herself in that was the driver, the getaway driver. In other words, she knew something had to be going on because I'm sure that Eric got in that car in a haste. Now, there's a couple of things wrong. As Eric was being picked up by the policeman and taken away, he continued to say, if I am the killer of Nipsey Hussle, then why don't you look at the videotapes on his video recorder and you'll see if I'm the man that did the killing of Nipsey Hussle. But if he pointed out this point, he would be indicting himself because they know that they had captured what went on supposedly in that parking lot. Now, the videotapes that we have seen as individuals were videotapes that were done by views that were not close up, but looked like they were taken at a distance and not even in the parking lot. Now, if they indicated those were the videos that they had, what happened to those two men that were able to run off who were not incapacitated? Couldn't they have witnessed to Nipsey's murderer? Couldn't they have told you if it was a friend or not? Now, how could this person be a friend and the other two men in the parking lot not know him? Don't friends customarily know each other? So it's another whole hoax as to why they can identify this man as Nipsey's friend. Now, then they want to tell us that Nipsey had a conversation with Eric Holden earlier where he walked out there and he gave him the right hand of fellowship. And Nipsey came out and said, man, you better whine on out of this neighborhood because we know you a snitch. Who witnessed him saying that? Or was it something that the media just planted? Because no one has witnessed Nipsey even saying this. So was it said at all? Now, nevertheless, this man had just given the right hand of fellowship. There didn't seem to be any disgruntled behavior amongst them during this particular time. They would have sensed it. They would have known it. His friends would have said, look out, Nipsey. This guy's going to come back and take your head off. But they didn't say that. But yet this young man said, if you think I'm the killer of Nipsey Hussle, why not take that videotape down and view it and see if I'm the killer? He put himself on the line. And if everybody in the media really wanted to prove that he was the killer, they would have taken those videotapes down. And since then, nobody has seen those videotapes and what they captured on it, not even the news or the television or his family. Those tapes have been guarded and they need to be brought forth to find out exactly who is the culprit that was seen and captured on those videotapes that took Nipsey's life away. Now, we haven't said too much about Lauren. And you would think that whenever a spouse is killed, you will take in the other spouse to drill her repeatedly to find out if there was somebody in their family that was disgruntled to him, a friend, or her parents. Who were her parents? And why can't they be found? And why is it that people are looking for her parents now on the Wikipedia and they say they can't find a sign of her parents at a time like this when she's lost her husband? Now, I am just confused as to why this man was brought in, apprehended, and picked up from the medical institute called mental illness, mental patient. If Eric Holden's residence was at the mental institution, don't you think that somebody was monitoring him and providing him with medicine? Because he was not just visiting, he was a patient. Now, how did he just get up and walk out of that hospital? You have to sign yourself out and sign yourself in. And it sounded like that's what he was doing. He went in on his own accord. But how did the policemen know that Eric was here at this mental health institution? And then all of that hoopla in the parking lot about, I work here, I need to get in there. And then, is that Eric Holden? Oh, yes, that's Eric Holden. A whole play on words took place. And this whole display of the videotaping of this young girl talking to the officer about them apprehending Eric Holden at this facility. None of this makes sense. Now he's a mental patient, but he has enough sense to go out and secure an attorney that fought one of the most outstanding cases, whose fees that we probably can't even look at because he's so expensive. So how did Eric Holden afford this counsel for representation? Who put this councilman on to Eric Holden, and who paid the fee? Who? See, we are not asking the right question. And why would he want to take this case of this so-called murderer that has been captured on tape, that everyone knows that he's a killer? So what defense is he going to bring to court to defend this young man if they have evidence of him being on tape and being the shooter? So how is this particular counsel going to win this case? And what is the purpose of him taking this case? Now, we know the OJ case made money. Is this all a prank to make money and to fill the courtroom seats and the television media and to create an atmosphere of a case that never shouldn't have been? And now we've got this highfalutin, expensive attorney and counselor who's taking on a case of a young man that is already being captured on tape as being the culprit and the murderer who held the gun and pulled the trigger to kill Nipsey. I want to say to my constituents, my spiritual constituents, some of you are picking up the tar cards and you're not spiritual. You won't get an answer. Some of you who are Ifa have reference to the tar cards. Ifa people go and get the De Lagoon. And then the De Lagoon leads us to Ifa, to oracle readings. And we have our own poetry that we can pull with our poetry giving us the answer to the riddle. We don't play around with tarot cards. So I'm just wondering where are all these so-called practitioners coming from that are giving these fake tarot readings. I want you to stop it, because if you don't get into the spirit, I'm not seeing anybody stop and get in the spirit. They just pull the cards out and they start pulling them. And the spirit cannot be nowhere around. But in the meantime, we got a potential hoax going on. And many people that are replicable are saying it's a hoax. Now, do I know that it's a hoax? No. But do I feel like something is brewing in the pot that's poison? Yes. Could there potentially be a hoax? Yes. What is the motive? What is the motive of all this? We look at what has gone on this year with Jesse and his hoax and him getting a slap on the hand. And now he's being paraded and he's made his mark in the media. What could be going on with Nipsey Hussle? Is he a part of this charade also? Is he a part of the media perpetrating a death in the media that never happened? Can any of this all have any validity to it? And how are we going to get to the bottom of this? I guess it's like you eat an elephant one bite at a time. Every day in the news, something new keeps coming up about this case. I wouldn't be surprised if Nipsey wouldn't walk on the scene and everybody go after this man for this potential hoax. And if it is a hoax, lo and behold, it's going to tear up the city. It's going to tear up Los Angeles. It's going to cause people to have gnashing of teeth. If any of these young brothers who are doing this investigation and tagging and towing them, if they find out that any of this stuff is a lie, you can bet and believe that civil war is on its way. But we've got to come to a decision, spiritual people, you practitioners. Stop giving these readings of these tarot cards until you spend time praying. I couldn't even give but nothing but a numerology number. I couldn't give the reading because the whole verdict wasn't out. I knew it was a lie somewhere. And I kept saying they have not shaken up Lauren enough to find out what was this man involved in. They placated it like he had an argument, and that's the only thing that brought this on. But it couldn't have been the only thing that brought this on. The man had gotten a handshake from so-called Eric Holder, his so-called imaginary enemy. We've got a lot to thinking about. We've got a lot to think about in the hood. What is so great that they want to tear down our character and our integrity? What is going on with the music industry that they want us out and they want to take full control? What is going on? And why must people be lying with fake news, putting fake deaths in the news? Why would somebody have a motive for that? Yes, we're fighting gang wars. Yes, we want all of the guns off the street, but you can do things in decent order. It doesn't have to be done in this manner. We have a serious, serious problem, people. And we better get a grip today because we've got some hip hoppers that have figured it all out. And they are on the money. They are talking about it from a perspective that it would be believable. Anything is believable now. We don't have the tapes to examine. Why won't someone give up those tapes so the world can see what was captured on those tapes? Especially since Eric Holden has pointed out that he is not on those videotapes and that someone needs to take them down and examine them. Maybe the young man is right. And if he's not on those tapes, then who in God's name is on those tapes? And where did those tapes come from that were recorded from blocks away? And why were they recorded from blocks away? Is it to deter us, to make us think that they didn't have a clear vision of who really shot him? Because that videotape that comes out of the parking lot above their building roof would have an angle on the shooter, the perpetrator, so that everyone could be able to see who clearly this man was. Why is so much being hidden? And are these people being staged that were perpetrating the mourners out in the parking lot that were crying? Were they playing a part? And if so, what did they hope to gain from this? Now, our people have got to wake up. We've got to wake up. There are just no two ways about it. We cannot stay asleep on this one. We've got to get our faculties together and stop letting these two-bit people drive us insane and lose sleep. And for you spiritual workers, you practitioners, put down your tarot cards and go in prayer, go in deep meditation, and use your own discernment and read the frequencies around this situation. And don't let cards stumble you. I wouldn't do it. I put the cards away and I said, I won't pick up a tarot card. If it doesn't come from Ifa, literary corpuses and poems that tells a story, now I'm going to look at those poems and see where that De Lagoon is going and see what it's telling me about the surrounding of this media. Is it fake? And did somebody perpetrate a lie? Did someone give us this distorted truth? Did someone pretend that this good brother is gone from among us? If it's all true, then I'm calling on the ancestors today to reveal it. And I'm going to the literary poetry and get an answer from the Most High, not from some hard, cold, callous cards that are not tied to spirituality. We must understand that when we get our reading, we must go in the spirit, and it is tied to our Ori, and we can do an actual assessment from reading the auras of the situation. We don't need a mediumtress. Those that are really readers and are dreamers and that have their third eye open, you can see through the aura. You don't need a mediumtress to be able to see this. And I want to see those true practitioners come up front and read the aura of this situation. Allow your imagination to run wild, to be able to see what's in the heart of men. And right now, somebody's lying. Somebody's pulled a hoax on us. And Lauren London has got to start talking, telling us what is in her mindset and what has transpired with her. Why is she so hush-hush? What does she have to do with her husband's transition? He met with an early death, an early transition. Don't she have any concerns? Now she's a widow, and now she has those children to take care of. Why hasn't she gone to her parents? Why haven't they come out front and offered their condolence and their sorrow for this whole thing? Is it a hoax? Is that why? Who has the solution? Many of you brothers are saying it's not a conspiracy, but it's a hoax. Where are you getting this information from? And please do share it on the Facebook and the YouTube to let us know exactly where you're going with this. Because we cannot spend another night baffled over what has transpired. We have got to know, because it's affecting our community. It's causing us to become unraveled with each other. It's causing us to become disillusioned with the hope that we once had. It's causing us to shout each other down. It's causing us to side with Mr. Enforcer. It's causing us to put all of our faith in the government and allowing the government to give us direction for our lives and what to do when we make our next move. It's causing us to forget about past history of what the government was able to do, to forget about the part that he played in the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King, and to forget about the assassinations that were done of all the other men where the government was involved. It's causing us to say, don't speak on it. Put a lid on it. It's causing us to say, we're not going to voice our opinion on the conspiracy. It's causing us to be silent. And when your voices are silent, they can come and they can tell you what to think through the media. They will give you a verdict, and they will submit to you a murderer, and they will try a murderer in the court of law, and let us watch this thing play out. And then all in the back of their mind come up with, we have placated you. We have set you on flame, and we have brought you to this point of falling on your knees because you need another leader, and we've just placated, taking him away. So what are we going to do about it? Are we going to let leaders keep coming in our midst that we believe in and depend on, and then when they become movable, not like the immovable rock, but removable from amongst us, now they've left us shattered. How do we gain our composure? How do we put ourselves back together? And do we need to look to another leader? And what is this message telling us? That we can take your leaders anytime, that we can come into your community and we can strip you of all of your hope and all of your future plans. No, this can't happen. And every person should be able to look at this fake news and determine if somebody has fed us a crock of cream. And if they have, what is our next move? The question is, what are we going to do about it? It's good to know what's really fanning out and what's really happening, but the real question is, what are you going to do about it? And I sure as heck hope you don't say we're going to march again, we're going to ride again, because remember what Nipsey said, if I'm taken out of here because of this documentary with Dr. Sebi, I want y'all to ride on them. Is he sending a message that he's staging? He's staging a gang war. He's staging the civil war of all times. Is he staging that he wants to rile you up to get you with gnashing of teeth where you're now fighting and you can't win because you're destroying your own community and you're lashing out at your brothers who have nothing to do with this masquerade? So what was Nipsey trying to send a message to you? That I'm going to step out of here for a few minutes, and some folks is going to think that it's because of what I was going to do with this documentary. But if I get taken out, I want y'all to ride on them. That's what he said. He wanted us to ride on them. Is this superficial? Or was he agitating a civil war? We got to look at that, people. Where was he coming from? And at the same time, this mystery has not been solved because we still have a tape that's not been viewed by the public nor by the authorities. And especially, I'm sure Eric Holden's attorney wants to see this tape. He should be calling for this tape to clear his client's name if he's not guilty. How does Eric Holden stand up in a court of law and tell this councilman, tell him, you go tell him that I'm innocent? How do you plead innocent? And he's calling for the tape as substantial exhibit 1 to prove that it wasn't his face on those cameras. Now pull the tapes. Then you can solve the whole mystery. Then this councilman can lay the law down and exonerate Eric Holden. And then let's go after the real culprit if there is a culprit. That's what we got to look at. The Spirit's telling me that this brother who called out for that tape is not lying. His image is not on that tape. And he knows it, and the policeman knows it. That's why they're not releasing that tape. In the meantime, his defense is lying on that tape and the fact that the tape has an image on it. His defense, his whole defense is predicated on that. And his attorney, if he's worth any salt in his veins, he would be asking and subpoenaing that tape to get a copy of it so he could see whose image was actually on it. Otherwise, he cannot defend this young holding properly without knowing if he's honestly telling the truth or if he is really the image on that picture screen, which will reveal that he's guilty. Now, you, as the leading counsel, if you are truly coming here to do that young man some good, and if you're trying to catch one for the giffer, for the club or the community or the hood, you're going to have to do right. If you get this man off, he's going to sincerely have to be innocent. Don't be freeing no corporate that's guilty of sin, and don't be letting one of ours off the hook who need to pay their time. If he's done the murder, then let him ride the time out. But if you cannot find his image on that picture and he wasn't there, then don't botch this thing up by sending an innocent man up the river. Now, we've got technology that can do all kinds of things, make you think you're in heaven. We got technology and trickery with IT and cameramen showing you in another island, another place, somewhere out there in the middle of nowhere when you're right in your living room. We got that kind of technology. But that little old tape that's on top of the roof of Nipsey Hussle's business has the answer to what we have all been calling for. Who did the murdering? And whose image is on that picture? And don't think that you're going to change that video recording and alter it. Don't think for 1 minute, because the people want to know the truth and nothing but the truth. And we are not playing this game. We're not stupid. Black folks are one of the oldest people on this planet, and we've been here for some time now. You cannot smooth too many things over us. We're thinkers, and we have the rationalization to rule things out. And we're ruling out some things today. And now we're coming up with another whole concept. We're not looking at the fact that Nipsey was our hero or that he brought fame to our community. We want to find out, did he participate in his own death? Did he participate in this hoax? And if so, for what reason? And what part did his dear wife, Lauren London, play in this scenario? Get her in the middle of the mix and start questioning her, because she needs to be on these airways being interviewed to talk about what went on in her and her husband's life, and did they make a deal with the devil, and why is her husband gone off this plane now, and did she or anyone in her lineage have anything to do with it? We keep investigating the wrong people. We keep looking over the wrong people. We won't even look over the fact that Lauryn Hill was married to the man and could have had some connection. We won't even look at pulling up stats on her character, pulling up information on her lineage and her family. And what does she do over these past 10 years? How can she be an accessory to this crime? We have not begun to look and interview the proper people that had a say on this particular hoax. Is it a hoax? Why is everyone calling it a hoax? And for what reason? Why would Nipsey fake his death? And for who and what benefit? I'm still holding out to see who stands to benefit from that. But at the same time, we got a serious problem, Houston, and this is not one that you can shove under the jail cell and say, let's wait until he has his day in court. Now, will he have his day in court? Will this man live long enough to have his day in court? Or has he pointed out something that the world has not considered, that tape? And will he stay around long enough to be able to view that tape so he can see for himself in the presence of his attorney and make himself legitimate and substantiate himself by saying, see, I am not in that video. That is not me. I am an innocent soul. Now release me and go and find your real murderer if there is one. I want you to look at this way, and I'm talking to those spiritual practitioners out there. I know we want to run and be the first person to offer some relief and to offer some information on the spirit world. Well, a lot of you haven't tapped into the spirit world. I don't care what you say. I don't care how much studying you say you did. I don't care how many times you laid down the candles and the incense. But a lot of you haven't really gone into deep meditation for Nipsey. Because if you would go to one of the Baba Laws. And you would ask the Baba Law to bring about the De Lagoons. Because the De Lagoons is the first thing for personal reading. Is the first thing for a reading to find out the circumstances surrounding Nipsey Hussle's death. And then they would refer you to Ifa, and Ifa will go into the oracle reading of the actual poetry. And none of you have pulled out the poetry to talk about what does the spirit have to say from the oracle readings of the poetry, the literary poetry. Now, I'm going to pull out the literary poetry on the situation because I cannot seem to find anything that would present itself in the numerology other than the number 8. I don't fool with the tarot cards. I do have the tarot cards within my book, but Ifa priestess don't have to consult tarot cards when we are energy readers, and we can go straight to the poetry, and the poetry will give us a story, a scenario, and that's what we're about to do now. Now, for those of you who've never had a chance to go to the De Lagoons, I'm going to do the 16 cowrie shells to see what the 16 cowrie shells has for us. Now hold tight. We'll be right back at you. A little tea here. There we go. I'm going to turn this chair around, get some better light in here, and I just have to do this reading, ladies and gentlemen. And the reason why I have to do this is because I don't think we've been doing you justice as the occultic practitioners and being in the field of an occultic priest. I want to know the truth, and I want to know what's going on, because some of us, we have literally, played the field. We have literally given you hogwash. I'm going to also do take my Eleke beads out. Not to make me look more spiritual, but to give me a spiritual connection here. I haven't seen any of these tarot reading people that have taken out their Eleke beads. Probably because they're not priestess. And we have to be very careful when we start doing these readings if we are not priestess as to what the backfire could be. And a lot of you don't realize that if you're not ordained ministers or initiated priestess should be very, very careful what the backlash is going to be. Now, now here's my little stone that I sometimes hold in my hand to get a vibe going, making sure that my frequency level has risen. We don't want our frequency levels to be too low, because our frequency level being low is at the animalistic stage, and we want to rise to the stage of the third eye where the 0 and the 1 is, so our energy levels are flowing. So you can have a little bit of jade, or you can have a stone that you can do that with. And I also wanted to point this book out to you for those of you who don't know about Olodumare. This is Olodumare, God in Your Yoruba Belief. And this is Abimbola. Okay. Well, actually, it was edited by Iyana Benzint, but this was Abimbola's teaching out of Nigeria. And I'm not going to go in this book right now, because that's up for another time, but I wanted you to see that. And I'm going to get my little Native American, because I am Native American. I'm indigenous, and I want to get my heartbeat going right. And we get that little energy going, because there's so much energy. Oh boy. Oh boy, what happened here? Oh goodness. Just hold tightly. We lost something here.